Who are you? That's the question we've been trying to answer by talking first about who we aren't. In the last video, we talked about how we are not divine. But there's another problem that we make, the other side of the same coin. You aren't divine, you also aren't dust. Genesis 2 verse 7 says, "Then the Lord God formed a man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living being." Ever since God breathed life into a pile of dust, you've been more than dust. You are a human being made in the image of God. Now, years ago, I was at a conference and a guy that I really respect was preaching, and he was crushing it. He was talking about the lie of self-reliance, this narrative that we can't do all of this on our own strength, and how instead how dependent we really are on God. And I loved it. Like, I can't agree more with that statement. But then as he was preaching, he said, without God, like, I would be nothing. And then there was this huge applause. And then he goes, without God, I'd still be lost. And I was clapping, like, completely agree with all that. And then he goes, I'm a mess. Without God, I wouldn't even remember to put deodorant on this morning. And the crowd goes crazy. But I remember sitting there thinking, wait, what? Like, really? Like, I love the heart behind what he's saying, and he's speaking out against self-reliance that is so devastatingly dangerous to the spiritual journey. I'm all for all of that, but here's the problem. Just to put it bluntly, like, I don't think that's true. I have lots of friends who are atheists, and I bet if I called them right now, they'd tell me that they somehow managed to put on deodorant this morning. Like, you see what I'm getting at here? But when it comes to answering the question, who am I? There are two mistakes we make. On one side, it's thinking we are divine, thinking too highly of ourselves. But then on the other side, we make the mistake of thinking we're just dust, of thinking too low of ourselves. Now, you may have some theological sirens going off in your head that this is dangerous waters. Good, keep that up, keep the discernment up, because this is some tricky stuff to talk about. And just to be clear, I echo Paul in Ephesians 2. I was dead in my transgression and sin before I was made alive with Christ. Absolutely. But according to Genesis 2, we're not dust. And we have to be really careful here, because God put us on this planet for a purpose. We are image bearers here to take this world somewhere. And when we talk about ourselves like we're just a pile of dust, I worry we end up playing small with the vocation that the creator of the universe gave us. Sometimes I think the reason we think about ourselves too much is not because we think too highly of ourselves. It's actually because we think too lowly of ourselves. The person who is always thinking about how bad they are, trying to think lower and lower and lower of themselves, oftentimes gets to the end of the day realizing that just like the person who thought too highly of themselves, they too were thinking about them the entire day, that they were trapped in the me maze and were unable to escape it. You aren't dust. You are a human being created in the image of God, and a pivotal part of this free me from me journey is realizing both of these mistakes that we make. When you make the mistake of thinking that you are divine, you end up performing and comparing, and avoiding and controlling. But when you make the mistake of thinking you are just dust, the same thing tends to happen. You put yourself right back in the middle of the me maze and end up once again performing, comparing, and avoiding and controlling. The way out of the me maze is to embrace our vocation as image bearers of God. Not divine, also not dust, something different. We are human beings. We're going to dive into more of what that means in the book. But for now, back to our prayer. Lord, free us from us.